In a recent interview, Ray Dalio emphasized the importance of understanding four key principles in order to understand how the economy works. I choose to call these Dalio's four driving principles of an economy. The first driving principle is productivity. Productivity results from knowledge. When people learn new things, they become productive. And the more they build on that knowledge by making new discoveries and coming up with new inventions, the more productive they become. The more you learn, the more you earn. Ray Dalio is saying here that knowledge is the principal block for an economy because it leads to productivity, which in turn leads to better living standards for us all. Dalio also mentions that productivity grows slowly but steadily at a rate of about 1 to 3% per year. The second driving principle is the short-term debt cycle. It lasts for about 8 to 10 years and it manifests itself in recessions and expansions. During the cycle, the economy experiences a boom or an expansion. Towards the end of the cycle, the economy experiences a bust or a recession. The last time the US economy was at the end of a short-term debt cycle was in 2008. If we look at a chart of the S&P 500, we can see that the S&P 500 went down by almost 50% at that time. The third driving principle is the long-term debt cycle. The long-term debt cycle lasts for about 50 to 75 years, and it manifests itself in the demise and rebirth of the system. Towards the end of the long-term debt cycle, the old economic system dysfunctions and inevitably ceases to exist, and a new economic system gets born. This often results in a new monetary and credit system, basically a new world order. Dalio also mentions here that it's not uncommon for the world to experience catastrophic events and even wars towards the end of the long-term debt cycle. The last time the world has experienced this change was after World War II in 1945, when the Bretton Woods system was put in place and the US dollar became the world reserve currency. One thing to remember is that right now we are exactly 75 years in the long-term debt cycle that started in 1945. Thus, we need to be extra cautious going forward and ready for any turbulent economic conditions. The fourth driving principle is politics. Dalio divides politics into two segments. The first segment is internal politics, and it includes things like A, how we as a society deal with the wealth gap, and B, do we have common values and mission that we are pursuing together, or are we fighting over wealth? When a country has a revolution, it's most often over wealth or values. The second segment is external politics, that is, how countries deal with each other. The most important thing to remember here is that whenever there is a rising new power, there is competition and there is the risk of war. A good example of this would be the US as the existing power versus China as the rising new power. Ray Dalio advises investors to diversify their investment portfolios properly in order to weather all kinds of market conditions and economic storms.